sorry, I look kind of messy today, actually.
It's
But,
okay.
I'm having guests in my house right now upstairs. This is my basement office, and upstairs in my living room, there are church people. I just finished preparing a little meal for them, and not meal, just snacks. And so it was wonderful. And I'm rushing here, and my mind is distracted because I don't know where I left my phone. I don't know where my phone is. So anyway, how addicted we are to technology and methods of communication. Okay, so we're talking today, we're going to continue today about the topic of relationships, and the good part and the ugly part of relationship. Yep, we're on Facebook Live. Yes, the other day we talked about unconditionally being devoted to your spouse. And then of course we talked about the pursuit of joy, courageous joy versus contingent happiness. We talked about that. And today I would like to talk about acceptance. That's it, one word, acceptance. Acceptance is very important. Without acceptance of one another, there will never be trust. Trust needs to be validated in the marriage. How do you validate trust in a relationship? It's through acceptance. I'm not talking about excusing bad behavior. That's not acceptance. That's excusing bad behavior. Acceptance is accepting the fact that the two people in that relationship are different, may want different things, may feel differently about the same thing. One person might have a different view about the very same situation. The other person might have a different view. It becomes problematic when one person insists that, hey, you need to be just like me. In order for us to get along, you need to be just like me. You need to like the things I like. You need to view the world the way I view it. You need to have the same world view. Now, the Bible does talk about equally yoked. Equally being yoked is, in my opinion, it has to be doctrinally. You have to believe the same thing about faith. If you are different in your in doctrine, in some of the essentials, then there's going to be a lot of friction. There's going to be problems. But we're not talking about those differences. We're not talking about that right now. We're talking about acceptance of each other's characteristic, each other's personality, each other's temperaments. Trust needs to, again, I repeat, trust needs to be validated in the marriage. And this is why if you have broken the trust bond, you now need to forgive and you have to accept. These two features go hand in hand. If you forgive your spouse, I'm not talking about your friend now or church people, okay? I'm talking about your spouse. If you have truly forgiven your spouse, you need to be prepared to accept your spouse for the personality that he or she has, on the temperament. They may not be excited. They may not be easily excitable people. They might be cool, calm, and collected and not excitable. You might be the excitable kind of person. You might be a social butterfly, and they might be more melancholy and don't like to be among too many people. And they like their own company, and they like to kind of withdraw and recharge quietly by themselves, while you recharge by being with lots of your friends and having a party. And you have got to learn to accept the temperament of the other person. To forgive properly means you've decided to rethink your whole attitude about your spouse. There is no room left for browbeating your spouse about something they did or in the past, especially if you've decided to forgive completely. Okay, so that's the part of acceptance that's very important. Another thing in relationship that's important is that you need to discover your spiritual togetherness. have you discovered, if you're married, have you discovered your joint purpose in life? First of all, you need to know your own personal purpose in life, but have you discovered your joint purpose in life? Do you have a spiritual togetherness? Or are you doing your own thing and he's doing his own thing, you're doing your own thing, that you hardly communicate about what you're doing, and there is no spiritual togetherness, there is no teamship? It's very important that your husband and you, your spouse and yourself, you're a team. Now, it's very difficult to be a team if one person is just doing their own thing. It's difficult to be a team if there's infidelity or if there's disloyalty. It's difficult to be a team if you have two different visions about your future, your life. A spiritually deficient marriage will be a neglected marriage. It's a marriage that's neglected. It's really that simple. Too many times couples go their separate ways, and instead of growing together in their marriage, they grow apart. Why do they grow apart? Is it because they just don't communicate? That's one of the reasons. Is it because they've gone too busy that they hardly communicate? That's one of the reasons. Instead of growing together, if they're growing apart, this will damage the intimacy between them. I know so many couples that are in ministry, ministers and their wives, that have grown apart because they're just so busy doing their own thing that they hardly communicate. I'm not just talking about communicating spiritual stuff, just communicating life stuff with each other. Are you able to talk about your concerns, your deep concerns? I'm not talking about ministry concerns even, or church concerns, but your other concerns to your spouse, your personal concerns. Do you feel safe with them in the first place? Do you feel safe with your spouse to communicate this? A healthy relationship involves a spiritual togetherness that nothing can separate. Find things that you both like together. Are there things that both of you like together? Or does he like things? Now, it's okay to like different things. I mean, the wife could like to do certain things the husband finds boring, and the husband might like to do different things or other things that the wife finds kind of weird. But do you have some things that you like together? And if you do, have you gone after those things that you like together? Do you have to beg and coax your spouse to join you, to have that togetherness with you? They should not have to beg you to have that togetherness. This spiritual, and of course, not just spiritual, mental, this spiritual and mental togetherness might be to discover true purpose and meaning for your lives as a couple. That might be one of the things are you doing that? Are you together finding true meaning and true purpose for your lives as a couple? In my premarital counseling, I do a lot of premarital counseling. And when I do it, I ask them this. I said, do you feel that you are able to discover purpose and spiritual togetherness together? Or are you so separated? Maybe not geographically, but are you so separated emotionally and mentally? Eventually, it'll be physically. If you're separated mentally and emotionally, eventually you will be separated physically. And I asked them, are you so separated that you just don't do things together anymore? It is so important to not neglect the importance of biblical study and prayer together. I am shocked at how many Christian couples do not spend prayer time together. I'm not talking about with other people in the church. I'm talking about just the husband and wife together, just together. I am stunned at how many don't pray together, husband and wife. They're just too busy. The husband prays on his own, the wife prays. It's okay to have separate prayer times, absolutely. But if you don't come together and even pray, you don't come together and study the Bible talks about the husband washing the wife with the word, sanctifying his spouse with the word. Discovering spiritual togetherness for your marriage is what will bring back trust. Why am I talking about spiritual togetherness at all? Because that is the ingredient that will bring back trust. And without trust, love will not survive. Some people say, well, you know, love will bring us together, or love will keep us together, and love will be enough food. I'm sorry. It is trust and mutual respect that will be the cement of a relationship. Of course, love has to exist, but I cannot understand and even fathom a kind of love that does not have respect as part of its ingredient. Love should automatically involve respect and trust. Discovering spiritual togetherness, again, I say this, for your marriage is what will bring back trust that is so vital for a content-filled, peaceful union. Now let's talk about non-marital relationships. Non-marital relationship needs trust as well. And respect. If there's no respect, if parents don't respect their children, and yes, that's what I said. If parents don't respect their children and don't show respect for who they are, and of course, if they're rebellious, I'm not asking you to respect their rebellion, but respect them as individual human beings that are made in the image of God. Don't expect there to be a healthy relationship between you and your kids. And if children don't respect their parents, don't expect there to be a healthy relationship. It is a two-way street. Sometimes it's difficult to respect parents that, you know, a mother or father that is just out there and doing her own thing and not being a spiritual example. It's hard to respect a mother or father like that. I have counseled individuals whose parents are not, or are very irresponsible. They're out there doing their own thing. They are not loving, caring. They're extremely selfish. It's very hard to respect parents like that. That's an exception. Okay. Everything takes time. So the third thing that I'm going to talk to you about is time. Everything takes time. You need to have patience and wait. Show your spouse that you trust them. Show them you've stopped sinning against them. Remember, we talked about the topic called stop sinning against the person that you're in relationship with. Stop sinning against your spouse. Stop sinning against the person that you have a relationship with. Stop sinning against your parents. Stop sinning against your children. Stop sinning against your brothers and sisters. Even in the church body, stop sinning against people by tearing down people's reputation, by gossiping, by unforgiveness, resentment, and anger. You sin against people. If you don't stop sinning, if you don't cease and desist, it is going to be difficult. Don't sin against people that you profess to care about. What kind of love is that? Now, everything takes time. Time is a huge factor in healthy relationships. You need to have patience and wait and show your spouse that you trust them. Show them, prove to your spouse, show them that you've stopped sinning against them and the marriage so that they can trust you again. Remember, if your spouse is hurting and feeling betrayed, show them that you will be accountable for your actions. You know, it's incredible how many spouses don't want to be accountable for their actions. They prefer to blame somebody else. Sounds like Adam, doesn't it? Adam blamed Eve for whatever judgment that God was bringing upon them for the sin that occurred. He blamed Eve and he blamed God. He said, you know, the woman that you gave me. He blamed Eve. He blamed God. He did not take responsibility, and that must have disgusted God. You want trust in the relationship? Take responsibility for your own actions, your own moods, your own thoughts, your own words. It is easier to blame the other person. And many times it could be the other person's, the major fault may be the other person's fault, sure. But if you don't take responsibility for your own actions, don't expect people to trust you. Don't expect not just your spouse, but anyone to trust you. Because one of the most important things that you do to gain trust is to be accountable for your actions, to take responsibility, to stop sinning, to seek God, to communicate properly. And then trust will come back into that relationship. Trust will come back to that marriage. Are you communicating properly and respectfully? Have you stopped sinning against that person? Are you seeking God? Are you praying? Are you taking responsibility for your own actions rather than blaming everybody else for what's gone wrong in the relationship? And even if it means that they are 80% wrong, have you taken responsibility for your 20%? Scripture is so clear. Wives, and a lot of people don't like the scripture because they're like, oh, we have to submit, and the husbands don't. Wives, submit to your husband as is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and don't be harsh with them. Now, of course, this scripture cannot be taken in isolation. There are many scriptures on submit yourselves one to another. My question is to the husbands here today. My question is, are you submitted to her needs? And wives, are you submitted to his lead? If you submit yourself to her need, she most probably will not have a problem submitting to your lead. There are great disconnects in a relationship. Relationships are like flowers. They need the frequent care of water and nutrients in the soil and daily sunlight. Relationships similarly can't grow without frequent care of one-on-one time. Husbands, I'm asking you, are you disconnected with your spouse? Do you have one-on-one time with her? I'm not talking about once a week or twice a week. I know different people's timetables and schedules may not allow. I'm not talking about uniformity. I'm talking about effort. Do you have one-on-one time with your spouse without the kids around? Without the children around? Such as date nights. The time of couples, the time that couples are focused on one another, creating emotional connection and building a stronger connection in the relationship. Many relationships are not watered, and the soil of the relationship is not tended to, and nutrients are not added to the soil of the relationship on a daily basis. But you can, if you make up your mind to have one-on-one time with your spouse, one-on-one time with the person that you are in relationship with. Because you need to create an emotional and spiritual connection. You cannot, if you are so busy taking care of everybody else in your congregation or your city or your family, and you forget your spouse, then I'm sorry, eventually it's going to show, and people are going to pick it up. People are going to pick it up that you're not close. People are going to pick it up that you are not, that you don't have a oneness in your emotions. And when they pick it up, then your testimony is going to suffer. How are you going to help people or counsel people on discipleship issues, on prayer, on relationships? If your relationships are unhealthy, what are you going to do? Have you heard of computer love? Sounds horrible. Sounds like something will get all of us into trouble. Let me tell you what computer love is. You and I both know that electronics are becoming more and more part of our routine, not just American routine, but the routine in most parts of the world. Unless you're living in some remote village in a continent that's very far away from development. Electronics are becoming more and more part of our life. Many times they've taken over your life. However, the technology of text messaging, I know you're thinking, wow, that's become so normal. You don't even think of it as a technology of text messaging. You just think of sending a chat message to your friends. It's become so normal that it's taking the place of verbal communication. You know, nowadays, it's so funny. Some people that I know, some people that I know, they will text me and they'll send me just one emoji. They you know, it's not even a text. They just send me a smiley face. Sometimes I just get a heart, shape of a heart. Well, what's that supposed to mean? You're having a heart attack? I'm sorry. No, I know you're not having a heart attack. You're just saying, I suppose I can read your mind, and I suppose you're saying you love me, or you're thinking about me, or you miss me, or whatever. But you know what I love? And I'm old-fashioned enough to love this. I love it if you would send me a postcard or a letter or an email. Yes, even an email. Hello, how are you? I'm thinking of you. I'm praying for you. How are you doing right now? Where are you at? What are you doing? Instead, I'm subjected to one-liners in a text message. But you know what's worse than that? What's worse than that is if a married couple don't talk to each other anymore, they're just texting each other. Sitting at the same table. I've seen it. I know you think that I'm telling you the truth. They're sitting at the same table, eating a meal, and they don't lift their eyes off their phone to look at their partner, their spouse, their wife, their children, their parents. They're not even looking at their parents or their siblings or their brothers and sisters. Eye contact enough to say, so what's happening with your job? Or, hey, you know, how are you dealing with that? Or, you know, how's the food? Is it good? No, they text one another. They're glued to the technology at hand, literally. I often see couples sitting side by side in a restaurant or sitting opposite a restaurant at dinner. And yet the husband vanishes away into his own world of text messaging, and the wife vanishes away into her own world of texting. And they're texting friends and family members and other people. Why are you going out for dinner in the first place? Is it just to eat? Because you could just open your refrigerator and get something out, you know, and you can go to your refrigerator and open and get food out, eat at home. Why go spend all that money in a restaurant and you're just texting your spouse? You're texting other people and not communicating. And that's what I mean by computer love. Just in case you thought, what do you mean by computer love? Well, it has got other meanings too, but technology is getting in the way and distracting people from relationship, really communicating, actually communicating. And I'm not just talking about marriage. I've seen best friends go out to have coffee and they're texting somebody else. You are not building a relationship if you're more in love with your phone than you are respecting the person that you're with at the moment. What are you doing? I've seen parents, I've seen mom and dad take their kids out for a hamburger at a restaurant, and the mom and dad are texting and the kids are looking around, bored. They're wanting some coloring pencils to color something on the whatever, because the parents are not interacting with them. The parents are busy communicating with the rest of the world rather than communicating with the kids that they're taking out. Please stop. Please, can you not allow technology to overtake your relationship? Please stop. Sometimes I think that this whole COVID thing The coronavirus, when God has put a full stop to everything, is so that we as wives and husbands and children, you know, this lockdown thing, God, maybe if I force you to stay at home with one another, you will talk to one another. Well, I'm sorry, Lord. Coronavirus did not help us to stay home and talk to one another. You should have shut the Wi-Fi down. You should have shut phones down. You should have shut data packages down, because then we would have, because the coronavirus, maybe for a few days, it helped us to talk to one another. But after that, we became dependent on our addiction to our phones and addiction to our text messages. Our addiction is killing our relation. I'm not just talking about marriage right now. I'm talking about parents and children relationship. Church people. Do you know how many times I've seen church people text messaging while the preacher is preaching a message that he has studied probably for weeks or days, and he's putting out the message and he's passionate and he's just trying to disciple the people, and we're text messaging someone asking them where they want to go to lunch after church. Maybe that's why the ancient church grew very fast, because the apostles did not have iPhones on them. I am not against technology. And if I'm giving you the impression that I'm against technology, no, I have phones. I'm a counselor. My clients contact me through the phone to set up appointments with me. My phone is important, but my phone cannot be more important than my marriage. My phone cannot be more important than my relationship that I'm trying to build. And the last thing I want to talk to you about, just for tonight, I'm going to continue tomorrow, is we don't check in with the people that we are married to very often. Do you know what check-in is? Check on them. Check in how they're doing. Quite frequently, partners may hear different messages than what their partner is actually meaning to say. The problem is that the simple step of checking in is overlooked, and then reactions take over and start the communication war. When you don't check in frequently with the person that you have a relationship with, or you're trying to have a better relationship with, whether it's marriage, friendship, parents, children, then there will be a communication war, because they don't trust you. You don't check in with me. You don't want to know how I'm doing, but yet at the same time, what's going on? Tomorrow, I'm going to talk to you about back burner choices. What's that? Choices that put your relationship on the back burner. Back burner means it's no longer important. It's no longer it's no longer a priority. Some things that we do to put the relationship in danger. Some things that are done that put our relationships in danger. I'm going to talk about unsafe zones, certain zones. I'm going to talk about why we avoid tough topics. What are we afraid of? And I'm going to talk about clinging. I'm going to talk about clingy people that cling, and you're like, oh my God, I can't even breathe. Can you stop clinging on? We don't have to hold too tight and cling in order to have a good and safe relationship. I'm talking about people who cling. So I'm going to talk about all of that, holding on too tight, clingy, unsafe zone, back burner choices tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, America, tomorrow morning, Malaysia. Okay? I know it's 11:09. It's early, and I'm finishing early. Because if I get into some of these other areas, it's going to be a little long. So if it's okay with you, I'm keeping this session a little shorter than normal. Is that okay? All right, wonderful. Again, when is question and answer time? Friday morning, Malaysia, Thursday night, America. Thursday night, United States, Friday morning, Malaysia, and then of course you figure out your time in other nations. Will be Q&A, and I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so by that time, I want to finish at least for the most part of this. So don't forget, write down your questions, have your questions ready, and have it in front of you so that we can just talk, interact, and learn from the Lord, from one another. Okay, Pastor Wallace. Pastor Wallace, you here? Are you here? Over and out. Earth calling Pastor Wallace, come in, please. I'm sorry, that was so bad. Sometimes he has this backdrop that's like different planets. So
the outer space, Brother Wallace.
yeah, that's right. Earth calling Pastor Wallace, come in, please.
Yes.
He's got the background.
That background again.
From
That's
outer
why
space.
I was trying to communicate to Pluto, which is not going.
Pluto. No, I think this is third rock from the sun.
Third rock from the sun. Okay. All right.
All right. All right. So tomorrow we are going to be following Sister Vani on back burner and
Clinging,
something you mentioned.
being
I
too
didn't catch
clingy
that.
in a relationship, holding on too tight,
All right.
not
Okay,
following through,
okay.
and
So we'll leave the questions for the
other
last
negative
day, right?
issues. Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So no questions. And I know that Sister Vani has got guests upstairs, you know, so thank you very much, Sister Vani. All right, we won't be clinging onto you. To cling to you, but I think it's wrong, so we should let you go.
That is not what I meant. You can cling to me. That's not a problem. It's when we don't allow people to be free and to breathe. You know,
Yes.
we just
If we love
it's
them, we
actually
have to set them free, right?
controlling. I'm going to talk about controlling relationships. You know, sometimes even between children and parents, or husband and wife and friendship, there's controlling, toxic controlling relationships that can really, really affect the quality of the relationship. I want to talk about that as well. So hopefully I'll have time to talk about that. And then of course, Friday morning, Malaysia, and Thursday night, United States, will have Q&A.
All right, we are so looking forward to the new series, the new topic, still on relationship. So God bless you, Sister Vani.
God bless you.
Bless you. Love you all so much.
Yes.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you,
Okay.
darling.
Love you,
Thank
Sister
you.
Vani.
God bless you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Sister Vani.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, Hi, Paula.
How are you? Where's Ivan? Oh, there.
Hi, there. Ivan left the chat already.
Who is Chidu Ben?
Chidu Dem. Chidu Ben, sorry.
Thank you, Brother Wallace, Sandy,
This who is MC?
MC?
MC Mary, Sramban, Sister Mary.
Sister Mary, you're so cool. Now you're MC.
No, I don't know. I think Brother Sandy
Oh, you should start using initials as well. Hi, Sonia, are you there?
So
They
yeah, people will
changed
think that
it,
you're
yeah.
married with a baby. Put a
Thank you. So y'all go out and eat in Penang, do y'all?
Yeah, we are still in Penang. Because
No, I mean, do you go out and eat?
we do.
yes.
But Eric has to sit at a separate table because it's like two on the
Yeah, each table only
Allowed
two patrons.
two,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You allow
Yeah.
three,
Unless it is a very long table
yeah.
that we can actually sit 1 meter apart.
Can't face to face.
We can't do that. We can't do that because we come under Warga Mas.
Oh, so it's another different set of rules for Warga Mas.
No. It's safer not to go out lah.
Yeah, I think that's wiser.
Warga Mas.
That's wiser.
Wiser not to go out. Yeah.
Because apparently in Selangor and maybe in KL certain parts, they still have the enhanced MCO, which means to say that the thing is still actively, you know, taking place. The what they call that, infection of the disease or the virus.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
better safe than be sorry, lah. You know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
That's right. But Penang, I think, is a bit much safer because of it is under a green zone category.
Green zone. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So most people are. I can see that they are quite free to move around, and I think the fear is less.
Well, the
True.
shopping mall and all that, they still follow the SOP. It's like we have to scan our identity or write down our names and then sanitize our hands before we go in. But once we go into the store, right, we are free to move around.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Same here.
Alright.
Same here.
So Vicky, how are
The
you?
market.
So sorry.
Hi, Paula.
Hi, Paula, are you there? No worries, Vicky. You know, get some rest. All right. Okay, get some rest. We'll catch up, you know, at the prayer meeting tonight. God bless you all. Bye bye. Have a great day,
God
Vani.
bless you all. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye, Sister Mary. Take
Bye, Sister
care.
Vani. Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye, Brother Tony.
Bye bye.
What did you call it?